Florence, the capital of Tuscany and the birthplace of the Renaissance. Founded by Julius Caesar in 59 BC, ruled by the Medicis at the height of its power, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and one of the major sources of art, literature, and architecture in the history of the Western world. A case could be made that Florence is the most important city the world has ever seen, and it's a must-see for anyone traveling to Italy. Here are the 10 best things to do in Florence.
Number 10. Piazza Santa Croce.
The Piazza Santa Croce, in the center of Florence, is home to the Basilica Santa Croce, the largest Franciscan church in the world, which features 16 chapels, decorated by the legendary painter and architect Giotto. Here is the burial site of Michaelangelo, Machiavelli, Galileo, and even Enrico Fermi, to name a very few. Founded by St. Francis himself, construction was begun in 1294. A terrible flood badly damaged Santa Croce in 1966. After decades of restoration, Santa Croce is ready for another 7 centuries of inspirations. Number 9. Ponte Vecchio. Ponte Vecchio, or Old Bridge in Italian, is a medieval bridge made of stone, which crosses over the Arno River. Completed in 1345, it was the only bridge in Florence not destroyed by German troops in World War II. Originally, butcher shops were added so scraps could be discarded directly into the Arno River. But the wealthy and powerful Medici family, who bought a palace next to the bridge and hated the smell of the butcher's craft, demanded the shops be jewelers and goldsmiths exclusively in 1595, which they are to this very day. So well built is this first bridge of its kind that thousands of tourists pass through the Ponte Vecchio every single day to this very day. Which takes us to number 8.
The Santa Maria del Fiore,
or Saint Mary of the Flower. It is also known as the Florence Cathedral. Built over 140 years, from 1296 to 1436, it was without a dome for its first century of existence, until an architect, sculptor, and goldsmith named Filippo Brunelleschi had one of the most ingenious masterstrokes of the Renaissance. The sensational and nearly impossible to recreate dome that Brunelleschi never fully shared exactly how it was that he did it. However, he did invent a new way to convey heavy loads and received the world's first patent for his efforts. He also invented linear perspective in art, used for nearly 5 centuries, and was a significant force in the rise of modern science. Today, we can still witness the pinnacle of his accomplishments, a crown atop perhaps the most important work of architecture since antiquity. Number 7. Rediscover Dante. Born in 1265, Dante Alighieri, famous for writing the Divine Comedy, especially famous for the first book of that collection, the Inferno, which is considered not only an all-time masterpiece of literature, but is the first major Western literary effort not written in Latin, but rather in the vernacular, or language of local everyday people. Statues of the man himself and quotes from his work are exciting Easter eggs to discover in every corner of Florence. Number 6. The Piazza della Signoria and Palazzo Vecchio. This is the main point in the origin story and history of the Florentine Republic. It is the meeting place of Florentine citizens, and to this very day serves as the centerpiece of Florentine politics.
Today is Republic Day here in Florence, and the mayor's right over here giving a speech.
Inside the Palazzo Vecchio is the Salone dei Cinquecento, or Hall of the 500. The Medici family was briefly ousted from power from 1494 to 1498 by Friar Girolamo Savonarola, who created what he hoped would be a more democratic representation, called the Council of 500. Savonarola was famously arrested, hanged, and burned for quote-unquote teaching new things. But his legacy lived on, and after his death, Michaelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci worked together for the only time in their lives, painting battle scenes throughout the interior. Later, the Medicis returned to power and in 1540 made Palazzo Vecchio their home, converting the Hall of 500 from a place of celebration to the boardroom of Duke Cosimo de' Medici. Number 5. Loggia dei Lanzi. In the corner of the Piazza della Signoria, next to both the Palazzo Vecchio as well as the Uffizi Gallery, is the Loggia dei Lanzi, an open showcase of exceptional statuary. Finished in 1382, it houses such treasures as Cellini's Perseus with the head of Medusa, Giambologna's Hercules and Centaur, as well as his much more famous Abduction of the Sabine Women. Number 4. The Uffizi Gallery. The very last Medici, the Italian noblewoman Anna Maria Luisa de' Medici, left upon her death in 1743 all of the artwork the Medicis had amassed over centuries, from Da Vinci to Raphael to Michaelangelo, Botticelli, and many more, to the people of Florence, in what is now the most visited museum in all of Italy. Number 3. The Pitti Palace and Boboli Gardens. The Medicis once converted the shops of the Ponte Vecchio from butchers to goldsmiths and jewelers, so they could walk on gold and jewels, so to speak, to the new home they had bought, the Palazzo Pitti, or Pitti Palace. It has served as the seat of power for the Medicis, for Napoleon at the height of his power, and even as the royal palace in the early days of the newly united Italy. The Pitti Palace and adjacent Boboli Gardens compose the largest museum in all of Florence. Number 2. The David by Michaelangelo. Housed now in the Galleria dell'Accademia, after being situated in various locations throughout Florence, Michelangelo's 1504 sculpture is the symbol of Florence and represents the defense of liberty embodied in the Constitution of the Republic of Florence. The 12,000-pound-plus statue is made of a single slab of marble, took 3 years to complete, and, along with Michelangelo's Pieta, is one of the singular masterpieces in any form of art at any point in history. Number 1. The 180 Wine Windows. Another of Florence's great Easter egg hunts are the 180 wine windows, indiscriminately placed throughout Florence. You see, in the 15 and 1600s, only wine merchants who were members of the guild could sell wine, unless you were selling wine from your own farms, sold from your own house. These humble portals are how some of the great wineries today got their start. But sadly, it is how our 10 Best of Florence comes to an end. It was told to me once that the 4 secrets of life are thus. Number 1, have a date night with your spouse that you never break. Number 2, coach the young people in your life for 1 year in something you are excellent at. Number 3, do something very special with the people you love twice a year and 6 months apart. And number 4, take the people you love to Florence. Thank you so much for watching.